Hello, my name is Kelsey and welcome to Becoming Home. We finally have some fall-like weather here in Texas and that makes me super excited to share this week's video with you. Today we're tackling a DIY fall wreath. I've always wanted to make my own wreath, but making your own can be pretty pricey. So I told myself that if I was going to do it, I was going to do it right. I was going to invest in nice pieces and make something that would last me year after year. Something I really liked and something that I would look forward to putting out every fall. So with that mindset, let me show you what I put together. Here's all the foliage I picked out. I got most of my supplies from Hobby Lobby, but they didn't have the ribbon I was looking for, so I went to Michael's for that. I also picked up a pair of wire cutters, the floral wire and the glue gun I already had on hand. The grapevine wreaths were $5 each. One is slightly bigger than the other. Now the reason I have two is to create depth. I want my wreath to be full and round and substantial. I don't want it to look cheap, skimpy, or insignificant. Wire your two wreaths together with floral wire. This was definitely the hardest, most frustrating part because my wire was pretty flexible. I wasn't able to poke it straight through because the grapevine twigs just redirected the trajectory. I had to kind of weave and guide it through the branches. At first I attached the wreath together in 4 places, but then went back and did a 5th spot in order to eliminate the big gap that was showing. Once I was done, I had a stable double wreath with no gaps showing and something that pushes out towards the viewer more than a single wreath would. Next, I made my bow. You definitely want wired ribbon for this. I have a basic understanding of bows, but honestly, you'd be better off finding a bow tutorial rather than watching mine. Basically, I made a small loop for the center, and then I'm making bigger, even loops on each side for the body of the bow. Each time I make a new loop, I give the ribbon a half twist so that the right side of the fabric shows. I had enough ribbon for 3 big loops on each side. If you want a fuller, tighter bow, you may want to make the loops smaller, but do more of them. Now that I have my loops in place, I'm going to feed a piece of floral wire through the center loop and then twist it back so that it holds all the loops in place. Once you've gotten the loops wired down, you can begin to spread them and plump them up so that they look more like a bow. I'm also cutting the edges of the ribbon into a chevron shape. To do this, fold your ribbon in half with the right side of the fabric facing in, then make a diagonal cut from the outside edges up toward the center. Now that I have my bow ready, it's time to start planning out my wreath. Before I glue down or attach anything, I want to get an idea of how I want the wreath to look. How is it going to flow? What's the best way to achieve the full look that I want? In what order should I place the elements? Bow first, foliage first, flowers first? I think this is one of the most important steps in the project. Working with the materials before you start constructing will help you get a feel for the wreath you're imagining in your head. You can start visualizing what you want and where you want it. Once you start gluing things down, there's no easy way to go back, so this step is really helpful. When you've got a general idea of what you want, you can start constructing your wreath. I decided that to get a really full look, I was going to put down some foliage before adding my big bow. I figured that this would make it look full, like it naturally grew that way, rather than me stuffed behind as an afterthought. Use the glue gun to attach your foliage and flowers. Put a good amount of glue on the end of the stem and then wedge it down into the grapevine branches. You want to make sure everything is secure, because once it's hanging on your door, you don't want a windy storm to blow away half of your foliage. Build up your wreath by layering branches of foliage along with smaller detailed sprigs of leaves and berries. Once you have the general idea of what you want, you don't need to overplan every little detail and placement. Just let your creative side guide you. I would cut off a branch, place it on the wreath, and if it looked good, I'd glue it down. No second guessing or wondering if it would look better somewhere else. Don't be a perfectionist. The wreaths I've always liked have looked natural, full, and with a little wildness to the foliage that's not completely contained. And that's the look I'm going for with this wreath. I want it to bring to mind the fullness and bountifulness of harvest, the last hurrah of the year before winter, the wonderful warm reds, oranges, rusts, and golden brown of autumn leaves. Once I was happy with the level of foliage I had built up, it was time to place the bow. Now that I'm placing my bow and flowers, I again went back and reviewed my options before I glued everything down. These are the elements that draw the eye, and you don't want to have them in a place that feels awkward or just slightly out of place. So play with the placement before you commit. I have one big orange hydrangea. This, along with my bow, are the main central elements to the wreath. I also have some medium-sized red geraniums and yellow roses. I ended up not liking the yellow roses and didn't use them. The 3 red geraniums are a repeating element that I think help balance the design. They surround and spread out from the two central elements. You'll notice that there are no flowers on the outward edges of the foliage. This is because I don't want any heavier elements there. I just want the wispy wild foliage. I love this look on a wreath. The left side is such a great statement that is balanced out by the bare branches on the other side. After the bow and flowers were placed to my satisfaction, it was time to add more foliage. I also don't want my bow to look like it was stuck on top of everything else. I want it to look like it grew there, so I'm placing sprigs of foliage and leaves and berries among the loops. Then I got to the point where I couldn't stop adding elements. Nothing that I glued on looked like it was out of place or like there was too much going on. But I'd have to stop at some point. I couldn't keep going forever. At this stage in the project, make sure you pick up your wreath and look at it like you would when it was hanging on your door. Make sure the elements look balanced and that the wild wispy foliage looks natural and not jutting out awkwardly. Adjust any leaves and branches as necessary, and if need be, cut off the entire element right at the grapevine branches and then replace it with a better angle or a different piece of foliage. And then stop. Stop before you overthink it. Don't look at it for a couple hours or overnight. Then go back with fresh eyes to complete any additional adjustments that need to be made. What I would do is hang it up on the door and then make any adjustments from there. That way you can see exactly how the elements will hang when the wreath is vertical, rather than how they behave on a horizontal surface. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. The only thing I changed was the length of the ribbon. I liked how the one side was longer than the other, but the front tail was just a little too long. Once I had cut off the excess, it was perfect and I loved it. What a welcoming front door I have now. The vibrant reds, golden yellows, and oranges make me so happy. I love the round berries, the long wispy grasses, the flat fern leaves. I love the full plump burr and the gorgeous full flowers in direct opposition with the bare brown grapevine branches. I love the pops of contrasting green foliage among all the warm tones. This is definitely something that I will keep over the years and hang on my door in the fall to welcome my guests and my own family into our home. What do you guys think? Did you like how it turned out? I love how it looks. And one day when I have my dream home and a gorgeous blue front door, I know those oranges will really pop against the background. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below. To see more content like this, be sure and hit that subscribe button. Check out the most delicious pumpkin bread by clicking here, or watch my other DIY videos by clicking here. As always, thanks to everybody out there watching and supporting my channel, and cheers for now.